What's up, soldiers? Chris here, CaribbeanPod.com. Always a pleasure having you guys here in the kitchen with me, walking through the grocery store. Big, bold, psst, Chris. Yeah, it was a breadfruit calling out my name, take me home. Ladies and gentlemen, that breadfruit is going to be the star of the program today. Now, I am calling it a soup, but you will see elements of a stew, of an oil down, of a rundown, and of a soup. So to make it easy for everybody to understand, around the world, we're calling this a soup. And we're doing it outside. The reason being, that smoky flavor you're going to get. Now, if you have to do it inside, no scene. But if you have the opportunity to cook this outdoors on a wood fire, you're going to thank me for it. Stay tuned, you're going to love this one, man. Soup. And before we get to actual cooking, I want to point out a couple things here. I've got salted pigtail in there. That's about 3.5, almost 4 pounds of salted pigtail. You want to boil it first for about 20 minutes. Dump out that water. Well, cover it with water, bring it up to a boil, cook it for about 20 minutes, dump out that water, put back fresh water and boil it for another half an hour to 40 minutes. We want to take out most of the salt. It's been brined in and make it nice and tender. It's gonna cook quite a bit in the soup, but the point is we got to do that first. And as the pigtails boil there, this is my second water actually. Any sort of stuff at the top, any scum, you want to skim that off, get rid of it. It's rubbish, we don't want that. Then we'll shift our attention over to here. Point of some of the ingredients you may not be too familiar with, and over here we have Eddos, and Eddos is like a potato except it's more sticky and more starchy. You would peel it with a paring knife or a potato peeler. We've got okra down here, or okra. We've got sweet potato here. We've got green cooking bananas, and you need to remove the outer skin. And finally, the reason for this dish, the breadfruit. And this here, ladies and gentlemen, is one of my favorite things to cook. And I'll show you now how to break that down, how to peel it, and how to cube it up for what we're doing. Quickly show you how to break down the green cooking banana. So you will take the top, the stem off, that goes into the rubbish. The bottom part, you will cut that. And if you guys can see here, the breadfruit, I have it in cool water now because I don't want it to go discolored, keeps it nice and fresh. And that will be the same for everything, the potato, and I'm going to be adding some regular potatoes in here as well too. The sweet potato, the Eddos, everything is going to go into that cool water. But back to the green cooking banana, you will take a paring knife, and the thickness of the skin, you will go down like so, and then basically all you're doing is peeling back the skin. So we've got the skin and we've got the banana. What I like doing is any sort of pieces of skin that are left back. Now if this is fresh banana just off the banana tree, ladies and gentlemen, coat your hands with some vegetable oil, or the sap will stick to your hands. It will discolor it, and try not to allow it to touch your clothing or it will stain your clothing. Boom, bam, bam. We've got it there into the water, and I'm going to prep the rest of them. Again, I don't know if you guys caught my Instagram story about this new stove that I got. Stove slash fireplace slash everything. I've got there 2 tablespoons of olive oil. And I've got my big soup pot there, my big Dutchy pot. We've got garlic, pimento peppers, onion, and Scotch bonnet pepper. Just gonna give that a little mix in the hot oil there. And we're gonna cook that for about 3 or 4 minutes just to bring out all those flavors. Been about 4 minutes. Here's where we're gonna add that pre-cooked salted pigtail. And that's going to render out some fat in the high heat there. And that's where we're going to build all that wicked flavor from. Got a nice high heat. The pigtail has been in there for about 4 minutes. In goes all of that ground provision. And to continue building on those flavors, we've got Caribbean green seasoning, black pepper, some fresh thyme out of my garden, and I've got another Scotch bonnet pepper. I'm just going to float in there. It is soup, so we need water. I do wish I had fresh coconut milk. Unfortunately, Iman is in Canada and I ain't trying to grate out my finger and all kind of thing. So coconut milk powder, if you got coconut milk, you need about 2 cups of that. Something mommy would never put, but Iman love putting it in here. And I've got chicken bone broth. And the whole idea is to cover everything with liquid, because we gotta bubble this thing like crazy, man. Now, here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen, we are not adding any salt to this. That chicken stock or chicken broth or whatever you choose to use, or you can use water, will be loaded with salt. We still got remnants of salt in that salted pigtail. Later on, we will taste it and adjust it, but I'm going to top this up with some more of that chicken bone broth. Straight out of my garden. Listen, you can't have a good soup slash stew slash oil long slash goodness without some pumpkin. So, Uncle Chris decided it is time to get some pumpkin and use this pumpkin. Oh boy, look at that. Just look. Oi. Oi. Thing of beauty. I'm just going to peel that up, cube it up, and it's bare niceness continuing in this big old soup we're making. I added the pumpkin to the pot, and if you notice on the edges, you're starting to see it's starting to come up to a boil. I'm going to have to cut back on the amount of wood I put in the fire here. You guys just turn the heat down on your stove top, bring it up to a boil. We're going to reduce it to a simmer, and we want that to cook low and slow, a nice little simmer until everything is, falling apart, tender, flavors coming together. Now, we're at home in the Caribbean. You know it would have been dashing bush leaves or taro leaves. I'm based in Canada, so I'm putting 1 pound, 16 ounces of baby spinach in there. It may look like a lot, but that's going to cook down. But to help it wilt down, I'm just going to tuck it in. It's been cooking now for about 25 minutes. Everything is starting to get tender. Everything's starting to fall apart. Yeah, and a couple things I must mention. That Scotch bonnet pepper you saw me float in there, if you break that, it will release the beast. It will be very spicy, so be mindful of that. And 2, you will notice I didn't put any, in the Caribbean, we love using Maggi. We love using Grace Cock soup. We love using those powdered additives to our soups and stews and stuff like that. Iman don't rock like that. And the reason being, the noise you would have been hearing earlier, that's Zaire, my little boy. I ain't trying to get my boy to eat stuff I can't pronounce, so I'm keeping it as natural as I possibly can. It's been going now for about just over an hour and 10 minutes. And there's all kind of nice things happening in there. Here's where you're going to personalize things. One, you're going to taste it for salt and adjust it. And two, most importantly, once everything is cooked, now the breadfruit will take long to cook. The edibles will start falling apart. The potato will start falling apart. And that is why you would have seen me cut those things very big, because I know that is what's going to happen, and I wanted to still maintain some of the integrity of that. So with that in mind, here is where you're going to decide how thick you want this. And you know, at the start here I said you're going to see elements of an oil down, you're going to see elements of a stew, you're going to see elements of a soup. I want this to cook down further. I want this thing to be thick. Let's look at that niceness that's happening there. Everything is falling apart and coming together nicely. So I'm going to continue cooking this, yeah? At this point here, if you wanted, the pieces of thyme, you can remove that. It's done its job. It's been almost 2 hours. Yeah, I've been bubbling this thing for almost 2 hours now. Everything is nice and tender. It's falling apart. Notice how thick it is. I'm going to have a ton of residual heat here, so I'm going to shut things down here. Taste it for salt, adjust it. Now, if you wanted to add yam in here, if you have yellow yam or finger yam or white yam, whatever sort of yam you have, you can certainly add it in here. If you have dashi, whatever ground provision you have, and you want to add it in here, by all means do so. You want to add some flour dumpling or cornmeal dumpling, again, rock it. You may have noticed that I already busted that Scotch bonnet pepper in here, because like I said, I wanted that niceness, I wanted that heat, I wanted that fire. Sup soldiers, listen, if you enjoy this recipe, I'd really appreciate it if you hit subscribe and click that bell notification thing. If you've made the recipe, take a picture and send it to me. Email address down here. I mean, trying to tell people the email address, them butts will take the address and do all kind of thing with it. And tag me on Instagram at Caribbean Pot. I really appreciate you guys, and thanks for being in my kitchen with me today. Irie. Chris here, CaribbeanPot.com. Always a pleasure having you guys here in the kitchen. Well, we were in the backyard. Soup, stew, oil down. Well, you can cook it down and make it into an actual thick oil down if you wanted to. Always a pleasure. Irie.